Hi there, my name's Marianne, the counsellor and the owner at Marianne Hanson Counselling Service, where I specialise with working with individuals and couples in the areas of stress, depression, low self-esteem and relationships. And what I want to talk about in this video is some signs that you might have depression. So everyone gets down at some times or experiences low moods. I don't think there's a person who is constantly happy or constantly in a particular state of mind. We all experience low moods based on experiences or situations or things that happen. I think that is natural, perfectly natural. But when you experience certain symptoms for a long period of time, it could be a good idea to speak to your GP and to have an assessment to see if you may be depressed. There are 3 types of depression. You have mild depression, moderate depression, and clinical or severe depression. Now, each of those categories are going to have different treatment plans, so that's why it's always good to go to your doctor sometimes and just get a diagnosis. So some of the symptoms you may have if you are struggling with depression are a lack of sleep, and that would consist for over 2 weeks. So having problems with sleep, if say you're excited about Christmas coming up, I don't know, or if you've got an exam and you're worried about something, or if something has happened in your life, or just generally eating patterns, sleeping patterns change, that's natural. But if you're experiencing sleep issues, it says for more than 2 weeks, where you literally having disturbed sleep, so you're waking up at 1, 2 in the morning, that sort of thing, or where you just can't get to sleep at all, then that could be a sign of depression because you may be worrying about lots of things. Poor loss of appetite. So food is usually a good indicator if someone is, their life is going quite well. So for me, there's only ever been one time in my whole life that I can remember, 2 times. Once was when I was really sick. I had food poisoning, so I couldn't eat, and that was off my food. And one was when I had a bereavement and I just couldn't eat because I was so stressed at that point. They're the only 2 times in the whole of my life where I can think where food, it doesn't matter what food you would have put in front of me, I just didn't have the appetite for it. Apart from that, like most people, food is just there. It's just I'm always thinking about what snacks I can eat. I'm always thinking about, I always have breakfast, then I'm thinking about lunch, then dinner. I'm always eating. So if you have a loss of appetite, and that can not only just mean that you are not eating at all, it can mean you don't have an appetite or a desire for food, then that could be a sign of depression, because certain things, having lack of desire for, lack of sexual desire, loss of appetite, lack of interest in things that you used to enjoy, all of that means that you're slowly shutting down because you are so depressed. The depression is taking over that you can't engage with those sorts of things. So another thing is no control over your emotions. So you're either tearful all the time, or you're snappy, or you're more angry, or you get sad, and those emotions switch quite quickly. So it's not like that they're in a natural reason. So, you're sad because something has happened. You just all of a sudden start crying and you can't control that, or all of a sudden you feel angry more than you would before. That can also be a sign. Suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation is a key indicator. Now, there are some people occasionally that have thoughts of, I don't want to be here anymore, or they have thoughts of, because something has happened, I don't know if I'd be better off, hurting myself, or any thoughts like that. Now, if that is a fleeting or passing thought that you've had 6 months ago, and then since then you've had no thoughts similar, that is one thing. But if you were waking up constantly or regularly and you were having thoughts that you'd be better off dead, or you were actually thinking about, okay, if I walk into the middle of the road and a car hit me, then that's fine, or I don't want to wake up anymore, although you haven't planned that you're going to do something, that is still quite extreme, because it means those thoughts are becoming more real. And what people have to understand is if you're having regular thoughts like that, they can end up becoming more of an action where you just eventually take some action towards that. So that's the reason why that really needs to be considered and assessed by your doctor. Neglect of your personal hygiene as well, and self-care, that is a big thing that comes into depression. So if someone loses, similar to what I've said about losing appetite, you think you don't have to eat, or why should I eat, I don't deserve to eat, or I don't feel like it, then things like, why should I go to yoga, there's no point, or I'll forget about that. So that's things that you enjoy. Then the third one, looking after yourself should be a key thing anyway. So when you start to think, oh, I don't have to have a shower today, or what's the point in doing my hair, or what's the point in even getting dressed, then you have to sort of, that could be a sign of depression. It doesn't mean that it is. There could be times where you're just going through a phase where you just feel to yourself, do you know what, I don't want to make the effort today with my appearance, or do you know what, I just don't fancy doing anything like that. But all of these symptoms that I'm talking about mean that it wouldn't just be one. It would all, when a doctor's doing an assessment, they're looking at 2 or 3 or 4 things that are happening consistently. So it also wouldn't mean that you have one day where you don't shower. It means that if you are consistently just not taking care of your personal hygiene and that sort of thing, as well as not eating well, as well as not going to the activities you enjoy, as well as having suicidal thoughts, then there is a likelihood that you are struggling with depression, you know. So the steps are: consider speaking to your GP. That's a key thing. Don't be fearful. Some of the things I hear people say are, if I go to my doctor, they're going to put me on medication. And there's not like a set thing that your doctor will just say, right, you're depressed, here's some pills. Some doctors might operate like that, but you also have control. You can say, no, I don't really want medication, or are there any other methods or approaches I can use? You know, but it is about getting the right assessment, the right diagnosis. The second thing is consider accessing therapy. Now, therapy for depression is very different to other types of therapy. I think any sort of specialist area that you're working in, you have to take into account the issue itself. So depression, you have to work in a specific way with a client. Me personally, I like to know if a client has been diagnosed with depression and what level they're at, mild, moderate or severe. I will always try and ask that, because that will also have an impact about how you work with the client. However, depression is an area that can be, it's not about cured or resolved, actually. It's about assessing what the client needs. But you can definitely have some good therapy around depression. Put together a plan of action or a treatment plan. And now that might include medication. It might include therapy as well. It might include doing some self-care activities. There's lots of things, but it's just putting a plan together if you do have depression. Talk to your family and friends. Talk to your boss. If you need time off work, then that is something that you are entitled to, but you need to let your boss know. You need to let your manager know this is what's affecting you. Also, friends and family. You don't have to, if you don't feel comfortable going into lots of detail, you don't have to. But I just think for me, I would prefer to know if a member of my family was struggling with something like depression, and then we can work together on what they need or what support they would like. And the final thing is to do your own research. Find out about depression. There's so many books out there. There's so many blogs you can read. There's YouTube videos. There's so much information and knowledge out there that, you know, just go for it. The more you know about the condition, the easier it's going to be for you to put things in place that will help you. So there are my tips. These are signs that you might have depression, and also steps that you can take if you do. So I hope you found this video useful. If you have, don't forget to leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you think. And don't feel free to share this with others that they might be interested too. Thanks for watching. Bye.